Hello everyone and welcome back to the Nullius mod. This is Otaku Showboat and today the base looks a little bit different now, doesn't it? Yeah, I've been busy with the base and I'm not gonna go over absolutely everything in strict detail, but what I will give is the general overview of the things that I have done that we've already done in the main bus build, just at greater scale to get it onto the train network. And then we are, in fact, going to start to move on and get towards the chemical science, the next level of science pack, right here, the chemical samples. Starting off, I have steel there. Right there is the steel build that I believe I said that I would do at bare minimum at the end of last video. So it's just iron ingots in from the iron build, getting processed into steel ingots. The steel ingots are only really used to make the intermediates, so we're just making the remainder of the intermediates. I do need to deal with gravel in this build, so I do also need to eject wastewater. I also need oxygen in this build, and yeah, just eject the wastewater all the way down this purple line down to here. This purple, yes, this underground belt line all the way down to over there with the shallow water. And that is all of those nice little intermediates. The plates, the rods, the beams, the sheets, the wires, the cables, and the gears. Now, note that the wires are not currently being put onto a train because, they are only really used for one other thing. Steel wire. Only actually used for, like, reinforced concrete. And the gun, but whatever. But reinforced concrete. I can just make that in my mall when I want / need the reinforced concrete for the things that the reinforced concrete makes. That's my decision there. I also have limestone being processed over here into crushed limestone as well as lime. That is the current thing that I'm doing with the limestone here. And of course you have to crush the stone and get rid of all of the stone from the mineral dust. Gotta clear all that. Needs some hydrochloric acid in. And of course, the wastewater out. Same thing over here. We need the hydrochloric acid in to get rid of the gravel waste byproduct. And we of course need the lubricant. The glorious lube from our older methanol canister build down there for the fueling station. And then I've also done the silica processing, aka sandstone processing, into sand. Crushers are really loud. Into sand, right there. And then byproduct stone. Actually, what I'm doing here is I'm taking sandstone and I am making stone brick from sandstone directly. And I'm taking the stone output from the sand production and making a bit more stone brick out this way as well. It doesn't use all of the stone. I didn't build it out to use like all of the byproduct stone to make the stone bricks, but I am able to get rid of all of the stone through the voiding process that we have seen many times to this point. I am loading the sand onto a train. I am loading the stone bricks onto a train. I am loading the silica onto a train, which, by the way, the silica needs saline water which is a bit different because that needs seawater. So I had to bring in a line from over here, right here. I have seawater being pumped in to process the silica, the sand into silica. And then, of course, we're making glass. The glass is getting loaded. And then the ingots are not getting loaded. I have my standard graphite build there. And over here, we have the polycrystalline silica from the ingots. So we've got the polycrystalline silica getting loaded onto the train, as well as glass, as well as silica, as well as the sand and the stone bricks. And that is that right there. Next. Oh boy. What is next? What is next? Well, I've expanded out the rails a little bit, and I have ghost entities to expand all the way out here in a couple of train stations. I do have science right in here. This build is 4 sciences in one factory, making 1 science per second. 1 entire science per second. So it's bringing in the ores for the mineral samples. It is simply producing atmospheric samples from nothing but seawater. Seawater being brought down from up here for this build. Actually, from right up here in 4 of these intake 2s for how much seawater it takes to get 1 per second of the atmospheric samples. And then I am making motors for the mechanical prototypes. Those are right there, making 1 per second of that. And then bringing in all the stuff to make the capacitors and the lamps and the logic circuits, and bringing in the insulated wires, which I am providing directly on the train network to make the electrical prototypes. And those are all loading into trains and going from, right up here all the way to right down here, which is my science processing zone, my science labs. This is the science lab factory. It's about as big as it's going to be for the moment. Don't think I'm going to add in the others at this point in time. All of the other biologic type sciences, not gonna happen. And then, of course, I have removed the main bus. Absolutely everything removed from the original beginning main bus. There's some shenaniganry here. I tried to have my bots get rid of it for me, but nah. Just nah. Nah. I was faster, so I deleted it myself. Absolutely everything, because now absolutely everything that I was making and providing through the main bus is being provided either by the train network or getting made directly in the mall. Looking very specifically at the mortar and the concrete here, and the cement somewhere over here, because I have the aluminum hydroxide, the silica, and the lime on the network to make the cement, and I also have the sand and the gravel. That is another thing. So I did gravel, dedicated gravel on the train network out of iron ore, a red belt of iron ore, freshly mined. Its own dedicated little mining array for the red belt of iron ore, making not quite a red belt of gravel in the end, but still. This is what I have found to be the easiest way of getting a dedicated source of gravel. And of course, you can convert gravel into mineral dust directly. So also, this would be mineral dust. Like dedicated mineral dust, too. Just out of iron ore, for whatever reason. That's the one. It is iron ore. And so, with that, there have been a couple of updates to Nullius. We're at like version 1.1.9 at this point. It really isn't too much to really talk about. There very little has changed. Nothing that really has much importance to the current state of the save. And of course, this is huge. I have expanded more my solar array and my batteries, my nitrogen batteries. I will say that my wind array is still here. The wind farm still exists. It's still connected to the main power grid. So all like 239 currently wind turbines, those are still there. The Stirling engine was nerfed a little bit. It now makes 800 kilowatts rather than a full megawatt. That's like the biggest change that's happened. I moved my grid batteries to here from where they were before, and of course the original 30 solar panels somewhere are in a box, I think, because I didn't bother bringing them back to reuse when I'm making infinite quantities, when I've got, you know, over 10,000 placed right now. Well, after about 12 minutes of going over some of this and my slow expansion of the rails here, it is time to get to work on chemical samples. What do we need for chemical samples? Well, if I go over to the spot that I had chemical samples, do I not actually have a spot for chemical samples? I don't. Let's plan then. Chemical sample. Scample? No, sample. Chemical samples. Well, say I want one of you. Well, I have sodium hydroxide. I do not have the concrete provided onto my train network. So that's a thing to think about for this actual build here. But I have everything that I need to make it. It's sand, silica, lime, aluminum hydroxide, and gravel to get into that, so that's perfectly fine. We have the glass, which I have as glass. We need lubricant, which I have. We need sulfuric acid, which I'm actually going to do and provide by train, but just so we are aware, this is what I need to do to get into the sulfuric acid. And then we have ammonia barrels, which is going to consume empty barrels, which need small tanks and one-way valves, and this really drags on and on and on and on the list for this factory. What we're going to do instead is we are going to actually make the ammonia here from the compressed nitrogen and compressed hydrogen, and we're going to get our nitrogen out of air and our hydrogen, well, frankly, because we need a little bit of oxygen as well at some point, or do we? No, we don't. Because we need water already, let's just take more water and get that out of fresh water. Sure, we have to deal with wastewater, and that will be that. But we will have to bring in empty barrels, which is what I am working on right now. We also need to process volcanic gas for the sulfuric acid. And that will... yeah, that will do some wonderful things for me. So we go over here, and I decided that I would do empty canisters and empty barrels together in the same factory, because that just makes sense to me. These are going to be used for a few things in the longer term. I believe I've made notes about this. As for barrels, barrels will be consumed through the chemical science in the ammonia barrels, as well as through bacteria barrels, water barrels, and sludge barrels for drones later in the game. This will directly consume these barrels rather than return barrels, just to keep this in mind. Also, canisters will be consumed when making bacteria genomes and fusion cells as empty canisters, and in missile box 1s, which I think is a physics apparatus, a physics sample item. I think I remember seeing that. And then rocket fuel boxes. Those two need methanol canisters, and they don't return a canister. So there we go. The reasons for having these provided onto the network. Now, I've already done the vast majority of this build, as in I have placed all of the infrastructure. All I need to do is get the ingredients brought in, provided, and the stuff put onto trains. So that's where we are, in fact, going to begin our actual work today. So in this particular factory right up here, we have the empty canisters and the barrels. This actually makes up to 6.36 by itself, and yet these three are needed to get above 5 difference between speed, crafting speed on these assembling machines. Everything has yield modules wherever possible, and I have to remember what's what here. Oh boy. Oh boy, who uses the top up valve? That is you, and you need the empty barrel, which you have there, so this is actually coming in this way there. Still working on the internal logistics, obviously. This needs to be plastic. Anything else using plastic? You are using plastic. There was something about... I was considering a plastic and... Maybe not for this build. I'm getting confused between builds now. So you need plastic and the auxiliary valve. The auxiliary valve needs one-way valves and wires. You need pipe tubes, rubber, and steel sheets. The pipe tubes are going to be made out of steel rods. Few things need pipe tubes. 2 things need pipe tubes, right? Just looking at these, looking over here. So you need pipe 2. Pipe 2 will be on its own, because I've decided that it would be on its own for you, and then for you up here, you need 5 ingredients, but across 2 of those, because you have this being provided straight across, that means that that pipe 2 needs to share a line probably with the steel sheets. No, the steel sheets are used multiple times, so what do you share with? Don't think it's gonna matter. There you go. You're gonna have to share with something. Either the rods or the plastic or the sheets. How much is using plastic? 1, 2. Oh, only 2 things use plastic. And if this is plastic, that is not the way to do that. There you go. There's the plastic in. You just need the iron wires off of this line. You need the rubber and steel sheets on this line. And you need the rods there. Am I only using rubber once? Yes, I am. So now I have to think, well, what are the things that I am, in fact, bringing in at this point? What is the next item to bring in? It's plastic. Oh, I just got, like, sharpness in the throat. Made me cough. Oh boy. You are plastic at barrels. What do I call this? At canisters? Oh well. Plastic, you. There. It's gonna be here, above, for this build. I built it a little bit differently than I usually do on this particular train station. Rather than having the 4 large chests with infinity numbers of mini loaders, I decided to conserve my mini loaders as well as reduce the spacing between the stations as best I can by smushing this in like so. Just to give myself a bit more room for a little bit more compact of a requester setup here. You know, how about you just go like either there or there. There you go. So there's the plastic brought in. The next ingredient that is brought in by train will be the steel rods and the steel sheets. And they need to share a line. If they share a line from the beginning, is that okay? No, because I need the sheets and the rubber down there. Alright, steel rods, steel sheets, and rubber are steel rods at barrels, are steel sheets at barrels, are rubber at barrels. Now, this build does need both plastic and rubber, which actually makes it a convenient build, potentially, for making the 2 on site. Because I can make it from water, basically, or from nothingness. This one is the sheets, which apparently I'm waiting on. And then the rubber right here. Alright. Here we go. You are the rods. You are the sheets. And you are the rubber. The wubber. Wub. Okay. These brought all the way down to here. Steel sheet, steel rod. If this looks a little bit like a main bus, that's because it's supposed to. This will go all the way down to here and make my pipe. The remaining sheets go into here with the rubber. But the rubber is also needed in one other spot, I thought? No, rubber is only used in one spot right there. Well, alrighty then. There's the wonderful pipe. Just add sheets. Here's sheets coming in. Next is the iron intermediates. Rods, sheets. Yes, rods and sheets and wires. I think those are the last 3. Yes. Our iron rods at barrels. Our iron sheets at barrels. Our iron wires at barrels. So just to double check here, this is actually the iron sheets. Yes, and the iron rods. And the iron wires. Alright. Iron rods. Iron sheets. And iron wires. Those should be on the wet. Random rock is random. And I'm going to combine these immediately. And send this out over here. Because this is only used for one thing right there. Oh, that was at max. Okay. Sure. And then this is used right there as wires. Rods. Rods. Sheets. Makes pipe. So more, aka more rods for the tanks. The tanks are made here. Those tanks will make these tanks. And these tanks will, in fact, go up and make barrels. It was pointed out in the comments how stupid this process is just to make empty barrels. That you are somehow magically cutting a medium tank in half to get a small tank. I mean, I understand in concept that you are taking a tank and adding valves to make it into a barrel. However, it's the process that gets into this tank that's a little That's a little Because if you're gonna make a barrel, just make a barrel from the start, out of like the iron or the steel to make the barrel. Like, have you seen what SpaceX is doing with their great big GSE tanks? Similar concept, just, smaller scale. Yeah, just big, gigantic rolls of steel. And everything will be awesome. Yeah, and you make your barrel. Of course, you just add, you have the valves on these barrels. Whatever. This is the way it is for this mod here right now. What have I not done that I needed to do? I have not placed a single unit of belt. Enjoy the single unit of belt. Now everything will operate here. Now I don't need the empty canisters quite yet provided onto the network. So we're just gonna set up the train for the barrels first. I am in fact making 5 barrels a second net, up to 5.95. So let's keep that in mind, and I am now producing empty canisters here in this dedicated factory. Let's get our train set up. I guess I'm doing both, because I forgot. It's going down. These stack to 20. So you're going to be full. What do you stack at? 50. You're not exactly going to be full. I need to name these stations S empty canisters, S empty barrels, D empty canisters, and D empty barrels. SD full cargo circuit condition. SD full cargo circuit condition. Go be free to do the wonderful things. Is that really 5 a second? Part of me is questioning, like, hold up. That sure does not look like 5 each second. Limitation is U. Oh! I see. Limitation is the inserters. The swing speed of the inserters. I thought it would be fine. No, it's absolutely not fine. Why would I think that it would be fine? Oh, no. It is in fact not even remotely close to being fine. How am I gonna get through this? Oh, I'm also limited by the sheets. Steel sheets coming in. Tell you what, this is actually supposed to be 1.11? So as long as I use mini loaders here, this will operate at the full 1, and this can make the 0.11. I'm pretty sure it can handle the 0.11 off of these inserters. Just as long as this is the full 1, we should be operating at our full 5 per second. As long as we have the iron, or the steel sheets going. Okay, we need to set up the supply priorities, which, yeah, you can see all the wonderful things that I've done thus far. Where are empty barrels? Are they not with barreling? I didn't see it offhand. Of course they're not. Empty barrels, go. And then empty canisters. There, we're done. We're done with you. I have done my mass expansion. I am currently working on chemical science. That is absolutely what I am working towards right now. Where did I park? Right across the tracks, of course. Phew. With that done, here, down here, as you can see, I have set up a volcanic gas train off of my best volcanic gas mining area. So, I added up all of the numbers on these 11 different patches of extractors, and it comes out to a number that's like over 700-ish volcanic gas per second from this location. Which is a bit, don't get me wrong, that's quite a lot in reality. And what I want to do is pretty much get into the sulfuric acid now. However, I did note that it needs water, right? And, do you see water here? I don't see any water around here. Huh. Interesting. So it's a good thing that I've put the volcanic gas onto a train. Oh yeah, that's a huge distance. What am I thinking? I don't want to reveal this stuff down here, and that's going to be massive distance. That's going to be like really far away. to run a singular pipe just to output wastewater. So, I guess what I'm doing is I'm going up and I'm going to build that station up there, and that is going to be my sulfuric acid production area. Importing volcanic gas and exporting sulfuric acid. I don't need to export the sulfur dioxide because it is only used to make volcanic gas. And we can just have a look here and see what it means when building out this station. Looks like some stuff timed out there for a deconstruction. I do need to be a little careful because this is an active rail line, not like my other expansion. On my Discord, there was a mod pointed out to me that exists that would help with the bots. Would make it so that I wouldn't have to pick up the bots. And has a setting where it still will drain the energy. I think I'm gonna add that. You know what? I think we're gonna save. And we're going to quit. We're going to go into mods, and we're going to find that mod, and we're going to install it. It is Quick Charge Personal Bots Continued Plus. That's the one. Install. That is the one. However, we are going to need to make a change to the startup setting. So right in here, quick charge personal bots. We have personal robot charging is free. We're going to set that to be false so that it is not in fact free. Basically what this means is that the bots will be able to quickly get back into my backpack, which is what I want. That is the exact behavior that I want. I just want them to get into the backpack. I'm fine with it using the energy, because I very specifically have enough energy to make sure that my bots are powered at all times. It's more so, I just want them to get into my backpack faster. I just want them to get into my backpack without having to sit and wait to charge. Forever and ever and ever. And we're going to see how this operates. So they still sit one at a time to do a quick animation because I have one charging port, and that was what I feared would be the case. If I set it to be free, that's really cheaty. Basically, all it does is it sets things to, well, it attempts to set it so that it recharges a lot faster, but I don't know if it even works with this. I don't think it even will work with the hanger. I don't know. It may just not work. If not, I'll take it off because it just seems like putting the bots back into my inventory is faster. Now, I want to note something. It would seem that, where did I park? It would seem that it does not actually behave as I thought it would with the robots and the charge. It would seem that when you pick up a robot, it is immediately charged. My thought was that the game was keeping track of the bots individually as to how much charge they have, even when they're in your backpack. Actually, no. It's just once you pick them up, they are immediately fully charged, and they're like in the stack, and it's not keeping track of who's what in your stack. So that's a thing, apparently, and that by picking them up, you just straight up skip charging in its entirety. In which case, well, what's the point of having them charge to begin with? So I want, with the remainder of this, to actually do another test. We're going to save. We're going to go to quit. We're going to go to settings. We're going to go to settings, mod settings. We're going to scroll down and we're going to turn that back on again and see if it even works. Because that's the other question I have, is does it even work? And we are approaching the end of today's video. I just want to get through this to see if this particular mod works here at the end so that we can get into the yes, load, please. I know it's a different startup setting, just to see if it has the intended behavior. Okay. That does not work. So, unfortunately, even when it's free, they still have to sit and charge. These robots are still sitting and charging. So, that mod strictly does not work. Because I just don't want them to go through that animation. That's the whole point of picking them up in the first place. Now, as I said, picking them up is essentially free charging anyway. Which, you know, it's also a really fast way of getting them back in your backpack to keep them working. So I think I will actually be okay with a mod that makes it so that they just don't need to charge when they're doing your work for you. But it would be really nice to have it, you know, do the thing that it says it's going to do. You know, that would be great, because it appears as if it just does not work with Nullius at all, without manual modification, because I'm pretty sure it may be looking for the personal RoboPort entity. It may be changing the personal RoboPort entity, and or it's looking for the vanilla construction robot entity, one or the other. But I'm thinking it's looking for the hangar, the personal RoboPort, and the hangar is not a personal RoboPort. The hangar is a very specific item that is the... Where is it? Where's the name? Name? You're not on that tooltip. Huh. Interesting. But the hangar is not a RoboPort. It's not a personal RoboPort. So, yeah. Anyway. With that, folks, over the course of today's today's video, I have obtained my empty canisters and barrels on the train network and went over what I've done off screen in between last time and this time over the course of, you know, a weekend, a big weekend. And we've set up a train station that we are going to use to get into sulfuric acid for chemical samples, which I think I'm going to make in this station right down here, and then send them right up here, right close by. With that, I would like to thank you all for watching. This has been Otaku Showboat. If you have enjoyed today's video, please be sure to do all of the social and engagement stuff down below. Leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe if you have not yet subscribed, and hit the notification bell. Consider becoming a member of the channel by hitting that great big blue join button and supporting on Patreon at patreon.com/OtakuShowboat if you're so inclined and able. I will be back when I am back, and I will see you all on the next one. Thank you.